Wale, can you hear me? Say hi if you can hear me. Drop something on the chat box. Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, nice. Oluwakemi Jumoke. Familiar names, familiar faces. Good evening, everyone. I would like to hear somebody's voice, so you could just unmute yourself and say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Who do we have there?
Hi. Yes, Gwenga.
Gwenga,
Yeah, I
where
can
are
hear
you?
you now.
From
Where are
Akure.
you joining?
From Akure.
Okay, nice to have you. So you're welcome to the webinar. My name is Wale Adeyemo, and I will be the host for our conversation on data science.
Okay.
Could you please mute your mic? Yes, thank you, everyone. So it's going to be a 1 hour conversation, and as much as possible, I'll try to make it interactive. But of course, that is only possible if everybody decide to speak, ask question, or say something during the call. So it's a continuation of a webinar series. This is the third part, and the edition is focused specifically on people in Akure. Of course, we appreciate that people join from other parts of Nigeria or even maybe other parts of the world. So on today's webinar, we'll be talking on how to start your career in data science, and most importantly, how to monetize your data science and analytics skills. So, but before we go into the webinar proper, we're just going to have some kind of meet and greet. I'm going to introduce myself. You would unmute yourself, tell us your name, where you're joining the webinar from, and most importantly, why you are joining the webinar. So my name is Wale Adeyemo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Zakrak Learning, and I'm going to be the host for today's conversation. And I'm passing the baton to anybody that would like to unmute him or herself and say hi. So tell us your name, tell us where you're joining from, and tell us why you are joining the webinar.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, my name is Adeju Gwenga Emmanuel, joining from Akure. And one of the major reasons I joined this webinar is to get more insight about data analytics, because that's what over the years I've been longing to go fully into data analytics. And I saw this webinar as one of the things that will push me ahead. That's why I joined.
Good to have you, Gwenga. Next person.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Oluwatoyin Adadapo from Akure.
Nice to have you, Toyin. So why did you decide to join the webinar?
I saw it on Instagram, so I joined. I'm an accounting graduate though, but switching to data science is also a good thing, in which I like to learn more on data science.
Sounds interesting. Good to have you. Anybody else that want to go? We can have 2 more persons before we start.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Israel Taiwo from Ado-Ekiti. Currently in Ado-Ekiti, and I have a place to stay in Akure as well. I'm joining the meeting because I want to learn more about data science.
Interesting. Good to have you.
I really want to. I know it's going to be useful in my work. I do GIS and remote sensing.
Wow, you're already a data analyst.
Sort of.
Yeah,
but
so can we have one more person? Interesting. One more person, then we start.
Okay, my name is Daniel from Federal University of Technology, Akure. Yeah, well, I want to explore in data science. That's why I joined it. I saw it on Facebook today, so I decided to explore since that's my line of field. Yes, I saw it on Facebook today.
So interesting. Are you following our page?
No, I'm not following the page. I just saw it on Facebook. This is my first time of joining it.
Wow, interesting. So good to have you. Thanks for sharing where you found us and why you are joining this webinar. So everybody, could you please
Okay.
just put off your mic so we don't have interference?
Okay.
Could you please put? Okay, so the webinar is about the career opportunities in data science, how you can learn, what you should learn, what is the whole data science thing all about. So we're in an era where everybody is talking about tech. If you go on Twitter recently, you will see somebody telling you tech has changed my life. Somebody is saying something about tech. This person is doing this, that person is. So tech is just like one of the most popular things, and data science is just flying around. Data this, AI, machine learning, and etc. So, but most of these buzzwords, a lot of us don't even know, for instance, what does data science mean? What's the difference between data science and data analysis? What is data engineering? What is artificial intelligence? What is machine learning? What are the practical applications to like most of these things? And if I should learn these skills, for instance, where am I going to work? What am I going to use it for? Is it even is it prospective? Are there opportunities to probably build a career and make money from this profession? So of course, some of these conversations are beyond the scope of this webinar. So for instance, we won't be able to talk about things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all of those stuff. So I will just mention some of them briefly. So, but it's more like a sensitization webinar, giving an intro to data science, the career opportunities, and of course, how you can get started, not just learning, but how you can get started with a career after you've acquired that skill. Now, can you see my screen, everyone? Just say hi on the great. So
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, I can see so.
all right, thank you. So if you followed, someone's mic is still.
You can mute everybody.
Yes, I've done that. If you follow the trend in technology, you realize that things change and things change like very rapidly. At one point, what was the reigning thing was website design. If you could use tools like Adobe Dreamweaver, if you could do PHP, and over time, software developer, UI, UX, and design, all of these things became very popular. But more recently, say like 5 years ago, data science started gaining momentum. Everybody started hearing or talking about data this, data that, data-driven decision making. I want to be a data analyst. I want to be a data scientist. I want to learn data engineering, business intelligence, business analyst, and all of these things. So data science is one of the biggest things in tech right now. The opportunities are so enormous, and the reason is just simply because the demand for this profession or for data professionals, let me put it that way, is way, 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 way higher than even the supply. For instance, I know a software developer, I know a graphic designer. You most likely know like at least one or two persons that do other things in tech. So, but very few of us know somebody that is actually working practically as a data analyst or as a data scientist with a company or as a data engineer or as a data anything in any organization. So what does that tell us? So what that simply tells us is that as loud as the data conversation is getting, the fact that you can't simply look within your network or the people you know, right? And just mention that, okay, I know 5 people working as data analysts, or I know 5 persons that are data science. It shows that the conversation is hotter than the supply of these skills. It shows that the demand for data professionals and the supply, it doesn't even add up at all. Now, a projection by US News and LinkedIn, they claim that by 2024, 250,000 jobs will be created in data science alone. And this is projected to be growing by 28% every year. So what does that mean? If there are 1 million jobs globally on data science and analytics, that number is going to increase every year by at least 28%. Now, the statistics is about the jobs. It's not about the people that are hired in that role. It means that if there is a global demand or there is a global vacancy for data professionals across the world by organization, let's say it's 10 million, every year that demand is going to go up by at least 28%, right? There's currently no industry, there's no tech skill, there is nothing that is growing as fast as data science for now. And the reason is not far-fetched. We are generating more data every day. This Zoom conversation is one kind of data. The video is a data that needs to be analyzed. The screen I'm sharing is kind of data that needs to be analyzed, right? The people on this call, we could take a statistics of people on this call, we could try to look deeper and begin to check, okay, how many are female, where are you joining from, why are you joining, where did you hear about this webinar? Are you interested in learning data science? Are you already? So like data is just in abundance. Everybody is on Twitter, everybody is on Facebook, on Instagram. When you post a picture, when you put up a tweet, all of those things we put out there, everything is data. And it cuts across nearly every sector, every aspect of life. Healthcare, a lot of data, right? We've all experienced COVID, and in the early days of COVID, every single day, we look forward to what NDDC used to publish, total number of cases, how many had recovered, how many had unfortunately died from COVID. And these numbers were helping decision makers to make decisions. For instance, either to shut down the economy, either to develop vaccine, how many doses of vaccine should you have? Should you take Pfizer or should you take Moderna? So that data is just everywhere. So as long as some other technologies continue to, gain adoption, e-commerce, for instance, all of these sectors, they all run on data.
No audio.
Or into anything at all. Somebody even has to go further that, okay, we can use past data to look at what has happened. What if we want to predict, say, rainfall for next year? What if we want to look at what climate change will be like or global warming the next 30 years? Now, most of these things, they are not things that people just sit down and say. They use number, they use data, right, to make some of these predictions. And in terms of income, one of the most lucrative jobs for now and predicted to probably continue to be that way for the next 5, 10, 20 years is anything that has to do with data. And one of the reasons is because these people that really have the skill, they are not in abundance, they are scarce. So that is just like a prelude on why you should learn or why you should join the data train, why you should start a profession in the data, why you should start a profession in the data career. I don't know if you can still see my screen. Can somebody else say hi on the group? Let me know you can hear me.
Hi.
All right. Great. So, but when you talk about data science or when you talk about data, what comes to people's mind that, okay, somebody that knows how to use Python and maybe collect data, analyze data, and give a result. That's all. No, that is part of it, but that is like a myopic part of it. It's just a very small component of what the whole data thing is about. Now, look at data science or look at data profession. Look at it like engineering. There are mechanical engineers, there are software engineers, there are electrical engineers, there are even within software engineering, or let's say within civil engineering, there are still subsets. There are people that just focus on probably on structure. There are people that focus on probably on the environmental. There are people that are focused on road. There are people that focus on bridge. Now, all of them, they are civil engineers. Now, the same thing applies to the data profession. So there are several roles, there are several career paths in data science that, a lot of us know them, but probably we don't even think, okay, these are part of data science, or we don't even know some of these things. And some of these roles are technical. A lot of them are not even technical roles, for instance. So when you hear data science, you tend to feel like they have to be good with numbers, somebody that is very good with mathematics, somebody that can crunch numbers. Yes, partly. There are a lot of roles in the data professions that they are not technical. So I'm just going to run you through 9 of these roles. I'll talk about what they do. I'll talk about the tools they use. We'll talk about where they work and how you can monetize, some of these skills. So I think the most popular role in data profession is data analysis. Everybody, if you don't know a data analyst, you've had data analysis at one point or another. Everybody has had data analysis, or everybody, maybe you even know a data analyst, or you've heard something like analyze something. So the word analyze just simply means look into something, right? Compute and tell us what this thing is saying. So what do data analysts, what do they really do? Data analysts simply, they clean data, they analyze data, and they interpret. It is that simple. Of course, if you go out there on Google, you're going to see a lot of big definitions. You're going to see a lot of, jargons and stuff. So, but to just make it very simple, these people clean data, they analyze data, they interpret the data, and they tell you the results. Now, sometimes they work as consultants. They collect data, they analyze it, and of course, they give you some insight. Okay, based on this data, do ABC. Based on this data, you can do this, right? That is what they do. Okay, thank you for muting yourself. So that is what data analysis is all about. So if you want to be a data analyst, this is what you're likely to be doing. Clean data, analyze data, interpret data. Of course, the line might be thin. For instance, you can be a data analyst working in an organization and you are probably still responsible for data entry, sometimes for data collection, right? So, but to be specific on the role, data analysts they clean data, they analyze data, they interpret, sometimes they consult. Now, what is the line between data analysis and data science? Everybody is saying, I'm a data analyst, I'm a data scientist. What is the difference? A data scientist is a data analyst, but a data analyst is not a data scientist. So just look at it like data science is a little bit advanced. It involves like doing everything that data analysis entails, but they do like more advanced analytics. They do stuff like prediction and forecasting. They use algorithms. Now, some of them build their own packages and code. And this is where machine learning starts from, right? Training machines to do what might be difficult or even impossible for human beings to do. And data scientists even use data that does not exist. Data analysts use data that has already been collected. They crunch those data and they tell you what the data is saying. A data scientist can even say, okay, we don't have data for 2070. We don't have data for 2050, but we can predict, we can project into the future what energy demand will be. Or we can predict who is going to win EPL, looking at the number, looking at the data. That's data science. Now, there are database administrators, people that do database design. So what do? They simply prepare data in a way that is storable. They build a base to store that data, like a repository to store data, and they maintain the data. Now, when we are collecting data, any kind of data at all, we collect to analyze or to use it later in the future. Between when you collect that data and when you use that data has to be stored somewhere. That data has to be stored in a certain format. That data might need to be updated. That data might need to be retrievable. You want to be able to call your data and find it. You want to be able to maintain that data. You want to be able to just store that data somewhere. So that is what database experts, that is what they do. They don't crunch numbers, they don't run analytics, so but they build the storage like a store, like a warehouse of data where you store the data and they maintain it. Now, they are data engineers as well. So as the name implies, they are engineers. So what they do is that they build the tools, right? They build the system for data collection, they build the pipeline, they build what data scientists, data analysts, the tools that they use. That is what data engineering is all about. So if the conversation is making sense, just drop something on the group. Then we'll move on. Say something on the chat. You can say hi, you can say whatever.
Hi.
All right, good. Now there are non-technical roles as well in the data profession. Now there are technical writers. They are writers. They may not know how to run analytics, but they know how to look at the results and present it and write a reasonable report, an understandable report. These people work hand in hand with data analysts, they work hand in hand with data scientists. They know how to present, they know how to write. Most data, from my experience anyway, not to generalize, most data analysts or data scientists, they are not really good with report writing. Or rather, let me put it, report writing is not a flair of theirs. So this is where technical writers come in. Now, these are the guys that write the reports. These are the guys that write technical blog posts that you read on, online about data science. These are the guys that write commentary. These are the guys that publish, on Medium and Co. Of course, it's possible to be a data analyst or a data scientist and still be the one writing your stuff. But it is also possible to just be a technical writer, working hand in hand with an analyst or a scientist, or even basing your write-up strictly based on research. But they know how to present technical stuff. Now, of course, there's also business intelligence. Now, business intelligence is just a nomenclature, similar to data analysis or data science. But the only difference is that there's a domain knowledge. They usually work within the business environment. So what they do is that they help businesses, they use data, they use numbers to improve businesses, right? Either for products development, for instance, or advertisement, or for sales forecasting and prediction, anything that can improve their business, that can drive up performance. That is where business intelligence lies. Now, there are people that are very graphical. They love design. They can create very beautiful charts. They can look at your analysis that you, the analyst, have probably prepared in tables and your sometimes boring charts and whatever. These guys are designers. They can pick your results and just present it in a way that is going to be visually appealing, that people are going to love it, right? People are going to understand it. At the end of the day, regardless of the results you get from, say, an analysis, if your audience cannot easily understand it, I don't think you've done a good job, right? And sometimes as a data analyst, you're not, either you don't have the time or you don't have the expertise to make very good charts, to make very good figures. There are special tools for that anyway, or you don't have expertise in those tools. This is where those guys comes in. So they can pick anything and just draw graphs that will tell the story. A 20-page report, for instance, that the technical writer will write, a data visualizer or designer can pick that 20-page report and compress it to just 2 pages of design. And it's going to tell the same story, if not more. Because readers or the audience don't need, or they wouldn't need to read your 20-page report anymore. They can look at the graphs, they can look at the charts. Now, this is where visualizers and designers come in. And of course, there's market research. This market research is more like a combination of several things. So there's data analysis, there's report writing, there's data visualization. So, but simply what this does is that they work with organizations, small and large, across sector, right? To collect data about their market or to collect data about their competitor. For instance, I want to start a pizza business, say in Akure. I can hire a market researcher, go to Domino's Pizza, check how they do their stuff, check how they arrange their, check how the place is arranged, check their customer service, try to be rude and see how the attendants, whether they will change it for you or they will still be polite. Check their pricing, buy their product, taste it. Is it good? Do you like it? Now, these are market researchers. or I want to probably, start a bread business or a bakery business in Akure. Can you still see my screen? Okay, so I want to start a bakery business in Akure, for instance. So I can get a market researcher to go out there, buy Oyato, buy ShopRite bread, buy Captain Cook bread, taste all of them, tell me their taste, tell me their price, tell me how easily accessible. Is it easy to get those bread, or I have to go to different places looking? Do I have to queue? If I leave the bread for 3 days, can I still eat it? If the bread is no longer hot, like ShopRite bread, is it going to be strong, or is still going to remain soft? Now, these are market researchers. So companies usually hire them probably when they want to roll out a new product, when they want to roll out a new product, enter into a new market. They want to know how their product is performing. They want to know how their competitors are doing. Pharmaceutical companies, media companies, a lot of companies do market research. And most times they like to work with either independent market researchers, or they like to work with, market research agency. So market research is more like a combination of different things. Sometimes you need to go and use a questionnaire, to collect that insight you're looking for. It means that you have to analyze the data. When you analyze the data, the company that hired you, you can't go and give them the questionnaire. You can't go and give them an Excel sheet. Of course, it might be part of the deliverables, right? So, but most times you have to probably give them a report, which is where the technical writer comes in. And sometimes you have to make a presentation, which is where the data visualizer comes in. So market research is one of the probably most lucrative, or one of the ancient and oldest career paths in the data profession. And part of this also involves what they call mystery shopping. I can go to say Sunview Hotel. I'm not a guest. I'm just there to probably pick their strategies, to pick their flaws, to know how they do their business. A company is sponsoring me, and I'm going to lodge as a guest, pay for everything, use their gym, use their swimming pool. I'm shopping, like I'm shopping for what they sell, but I'm a mystery shopper because I'm there to just find out something about them, right? And of course, there's focus group discussion too. People that conduct FGDs, they probably bring samples of a product, say for instance, Pampers, or a new brand of Pampers wants to come out, or a competitor of Pampers they can bring nursing mothers together, people that have, say, children between age 1 and 5, for instance, give them that product, watch them use it, collect insights from those people. Those people tell you, okay, the material is this, it does not absorb very well, it absorbs very well. Then they begin to benchmark with already existing products in the market. So this is one of the most interesting parts in the data profession. Why? Because it combines several things. And if you're working as a market researcher, usually you're going to just be doing one thing on that team. If it makes sense, you could just say hi on the group before I move on. Just say hi on the group chat.
Hi.
All right, great.
Hi.
Great. So I'm going to talk about 4 others. So there's data entry. This is probably one of the simplest or easiest role in data profession to start with, right? Data entry, as the name implies, is just simply entering data somewhere, usually an Excel sheet. Most organizations, especially small and medium enterprises, they collect data. Those data are scattered everywhere. Sometimes it's a logbook, right? Where people sign in when they come and they sign out when they leave. That is data. But as long as that data remains inside that notebook, you can't analyze it. Well, you can, if you can do analysis manually with paper and biro, if you are that good and you have all the time in the world. So, but most times, you can't do your analysis if the data remains, please mute yourself if you are. Thank you. So most times you can't run analytics on the data until you transform that data to digital format. And that is where data entry, that is where they come in. So they look at this data in the raw format and they begin to enter it, most times on an Excel sheet. So from that point, they can now pass it to a data analyst, right? Who is now going to probably clean it and stuff. And sometimes data entry people, they are also, asked to standardize data. So for instance, if we are looking at attendance data and somebody comes 8:13 and that person comes 8:11 and that person comes 8:17 and that person comes like that, you can enter that data the way it is on Excel or any tool you're using at all. That's what data entry professionals do. So, but they can go further by, standardize it between 8 o'clock, anybody that comes between 8 o'clock and 8:20, assigned maybe something called A to that, put them in a group or a class. From 8:30 to whatever, put them in a class B. From 8:30 to 8:40. So they convert data to digital formats and they also standardize data sometimes. So, but mostly what they do is that they take data from non-digital format, they input it on computer and put it in a format that an analyst can pick it, right, and work on it. And there are people that design questionnaires and they program questionnaire. This is something very big, but it is not obvious. I don't know a lot of questionnaire designers. Anybody can ask question, anybody. And sometimes we all feel like we can ask questions and we'll get the answer. So, but there are people that have skills. They know how to design a questionnaire that is engaging. They know how to engage you to fill a survey that will take 30 minutes of your time or even 1 hour. You'll be filling the questionnaire. You're not liking it, but you are liking it at the same time. They know how to ask you the right questions, right? For instance, if you're doing something on family planning in a culture like Africa, we are not open to such conversation. And you can't just see like a married woman, just tell her, are you on family planning? Would you do family planning? For instance, if an healthcare company wants to start offering family planning as a service, you can't just go out and ask people, would you do family planning? No. Now, these guys know how to put those questions together. They know how that like this question should lead up. They know where to start that conversation from. They know how to ask directly without being intrusive. So, but beyond designing the questionnaire, programming those questionnaires is another very big task again. Sometimes, if you are taking an online survey, you select a certain answer, that answer determines the next question you're going to see. Look, for instance, we want to do a survey on, say, Indomie. We want to know about the price. And we share the questionnaire to everybody, online survey. And the first question we ask you is that, have you bought Indomie in the last 3 months? And you answer no. Are we supposed to continue that interview or that questionnaire? Of course, the answer is no. Now, if the programming is not done right, somebody that has not bought Indomie in the last, or somebody that does not even know what Indomie is, will continue that survey. So if we ask you between Indomie and say Mini-Me, is it Mini? Is it Mini? Okay, Mini-Me is Chin Chin, right? So between Indomie and there's another brand I'm trying to remember, which do you prefer? If you've not had Indomie before, you're supposed to be screened out of that survey because you are not the target. And whatever answer you're entering or you're filling in that questionnaire going forward is going to be wrong. At best, it's going to be faulty, right? Or let's say, for instance, we want to find out perception about price. So if we ask you if you have had Indomie like in the last 3 months, you answered yes. Mind you, we want to find out your perception about price, but it's possible for you to have had Indomie in the last 3 months without you being the person that bought it. So that you've bought Indomie or that you've had Indomie in the last 3 months might not even be enough to qualify you to go ahead with that survey. So if you answer yes that you've had Indomie 3 months ago, we can now begin to ask, are you the decision maker in your household? If yes, it's likely you know about the purchase. Or we can ask you directly, were you the one that bought it? You can say yes. Now that you've answered yes, does still not mean you have a perception about price, because your parents might be the one giving you the money, or that gave you the money to go and buy it, right? So you really don't know whether it's expensive. You just know they give you money and you bought Indomie. So if you answer yes, that you bought it, you were the one that bought it, we can now ask you, are you an income earner? If you say yes, okay, what is your perception? The main thing we want to find out is your perception about the price. But we can't just ask you. A question has to lead to a question, has to lead to a question. It's like a flow. So questionnaire programmers are the ones that design that flow. If this equals to this, then do this. If this person answers this, then ask this. If this person takes probably 5 minutes before you can provide that answer, probably this person is not sure of the response he or she is giving, then ask the next question. So the next question can be, are you really sure? You've answered, but because your response probably took a question that shouldn't take 30 seconds to answer, now it's taking you 5 minutes. We're assuming that, are you really sure? Are you just guesstimating? So we won't just take your response like that. When you put in your response, the next thing the computer is going to ask you is, are you sure about it? Then you answer yes. Somebody that answers the same question within 30 minutes, the computer will not ask that person. So the same question, different scenarios, different experience and all of so that is what questionnaire programmers, that is what they do. And there are people that go to the field to collect data. These are the enumerators, these are the field officials, these are the people that go house to house, for instance, during census. These are the people that follow the healthcare professionals that give immunization. Somebody usually follows them that record it. When you go for, say, COVID test, for instance, especially in public hospitals, there are people there that fill some form, ask for your age, ask if you've been tested before, ask if you have flu or fever, ask all of those questions. Most times they are not healthcare workers. They are enumerators, they are data professionals, they are there to collect data, right? In some standard hospitals, they are there as well. When you come to the hospital, all of those your symptoms, there are some that the doctor and the nurses will ask you, and there are some that those people, right, will be the ones to ask you. Now you can see that data professionals work literally everywhere. And there are tutors, people that know data science, people that have done data science, either they've worked as analysts, as scientists, as data engineers, as data entry professionals, whatever. But they also love teaching. They love passing the knowledge, either for free or paid. So they are also tutors. So these are some of the most common careers in the data profession. It's way, 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 way more than this, right? So, but these are the most popular ones. So there's data analysis, there's data science, there's database design and administration, there is data engineering, there is technical writing, there's business intelligence, there's data visualization, there's market research, there's data entry, questionnaire design, questionnaire programming, data collection, field work, and of course, we have tutors. Now, if you're still wondering why you should join the data profession, even though I've talked about the opportunity before, so but I'm taking this to be a recap. The demand for these people is very, very, very high. In fact, it's so high to the point that a lot of organizations don't even know who they need is a data profession. Every organization wants to make decision, but most organizations, most managers don't know, right, how to go about it. So what does that mean? It means that whatever number or statistics or projection that is out there about the demand for data profession, at best, is not so accurate, because a lot of organizations are even still, they are yet to understand that what they need to hire for or who they need on their team is probably a data analyst or a market researcher. So what does that tell us? That demand will continue to go up as more organizations, businesses, government agencies, NGOs, even churches, mosques, everybody, right? As they begin to realize that we need numbers, we need to make decisions, we need to be able to forecast, we need to be able to predict. The moment an organization does that, that organization just created new roles that they need to fill, right? There are abundance of positions. It's a very high paying career and it's very prestigious. If you like prestige, right? If you want to be able to say we are the ones that we are the backbone of this organization, I think you should join data science. If you want marketing department to probably rest on you, if you want product department, if you want projects, if you want the company to revolve around you, even if you are not the owner of the company, I think you should join data science. Why? Because you are going to be working directly with the management. If not as a manager, but a lot of things will come to your table. You're going to be active in a lot of decision making because they will need to make those decisions using data. Now, do we see an end to this growth? Personally, I don't think so. And if I would predict, I would even say we are just beginning to scratch the possibilities and the opportunities in data science. Every sector, everybody is talking about renewable energy now. Renewable energy runs on data. For instance, if you don't know the power demand for a city like Akure, how do you know whether you should do wind? In fact, if you don't have the data about the wind, either either the direction of the wind or whatever, how would you know if Akure should have a wind farm? How would you know if Akure needs solar? So as some industries are coming up, or as we are beginning to change our ways of living, we are opening more opportunities for data. As we begin to adopt online shopping, e-this, e-that, e-learning, e-church, all those stuffs, they all run on data. So I don't think for the next 2, 3, 4 decades, this career will only continue to go forward. Now, how do you monetize your skills? Let's assume you have any of those skills I've mentioned, or you are acquiring, or you are planning to. How do you monetize the skills? Who are the people that need it? Startup companies. These are even the people that need the most data. If you want to do startup proper, you're going to be using a lot of data. You're going to be doing a lot of experiments, right? You try this marketing, you try this, you try that. All of those experiments, you're generating data. At the end of those experiments, you look at the data, then you make a decision. Okay, we need to stop doing billboard advertisements. That is not a sentimental or emotional decision. It's based on the numbers. For instance, we spend 100,000 on billboard and we gain only 2 customers. We spend 20K on Facebook and we gain 50 customers. You can't know that if you don't have data. So startup companies, multinational companies, these guys do a lot of data. They do a lot of survey. They do a lot of both internal and external data. They do employee survey. They research their competitors. They roll out new products. They care about their brand. So they do brand perception survey. They do predictions and forecasting. Sometimes you see a figure that Apple predicts that in 2023, they are going to sell 50 million iPhones. How do they know? It's not guesstimation. They look at the historical data, more like a time series, and use that to forecast and predict. Of course, it's not that simple. They might look at the economy. They might look at COVID. They might look at household disposable income. They might even look at global population. For instance, if their audience is between 18 and 35, what is the proportion of the world population that falls into that graph? How is that particular gap? How is it growing? Are we having more people within that age bracket? So multinational companies always need data professionals. Another sector is academics. They do research, right? At the end of a research, they have a result. For them to have a result, they have to look at numbers. So even though universities and co may not have specific roles, or they may not have a lot of roles, there are individual researchers that always need somebody to analyze their data. SMEs, there are also places you can go to get these opportunities. Non-governmental organizations, they do a lot of data work, a lot. For instance, they tell you 30 million people are hungry in Nigeria. How do they know? 15 million people in Nigeria are living on less than $5 per day. How do they know? They didn't guess. They collect number and they always do this thing. Every year they release a list that they tell you this is a list of most corrupt countries in the world. This is a list of most powerful passports in the world. This is a list of happiest places in the world. This is a list of this and this in the world. Every year, what does that tell you? If they are making those decisions with data, it means every year, or their need for data professional is continuous. It never ends. Now, you can find these organizations, startup, multinationals, you know how to find them. So, but they are freelancing platforms, Fiverr, Upwork, freelancer.com, where you can probably like get gigs, right? And either work with individuals or work with organizations on data projects. Now, if you're ready to start, either you've already started or you just want to start your own journey in the data profession, I believe there are 5 things that are probably top on your list on things to consider. One of them, or maybe the most important of them, is which of these roles should I start? Should I learn data analysis? Should I learn data science? Should I learn how to use this or Tableau or Python or this? It is very important. And I believe from what we've talked about, you should be able to, say that, okay, I think I'm more aligned or in sync with this certain one. And I even expect you to go further after this conversation, go and read up. Now, after you've decided on which of these ones you want to learn, how do you want to learn it? Can you take an online course? Do you prefer a physical training? Do you prefer a blend of both? Do you like to learn at your own pace? For instance, I want to buy a course. I want to watch one video today, one tomorrow, one for 30 days. I can't have that with physical training, because they are not going to say, because I want one video, then they will cover just 30 minutes per day. On the other hand, I can say that, look, no, I want somebody face to face. Let me run it. If it doesn't run, I can show you. You correct me, we do it, we move forward. I can say, okay, I want to opt for physical training. Another big consideration is, how much is this thing going to cost me? If you're going to transition into data science, if you are going to learn any of these skills that we've talked about, it's going to cost you something, right? It's like you're going to school, you have to pay. So you begin to think about, okay, how much is it going to cost me? Where can I get something more like that I can afford? Or you begin to compare either platforms or training companies and so. Then you begin to think, how long is it going to take? I want to transition from an accountant. I want to be a data analyst. How long is that transition going to take? Can I do this in 2 weeks? Can I be a data analyst in 6 months? Now, those are things that you begin to ask yourself and begin to make research about. Then I feel like the last question is going to help you answer, if not all of the other questions, but most of the other questions. And that is where. Where do I learn it? How do I start, right? How do I get these skills? Who is going to put me through? Who is going to mentor me? Can I be part of a community? How much are these people going to charge me? How long is it going to take? If you know the where, then you can answer some of these things. So for instance, if you know you can come learn data science with us, we can help you answer how long. We can help you answer how much. We can help you answer how should you learn, online or physical. We can even guide you on, okay, which of these skills should you learn? So like this is where we come into the picture. We are Zakrak Learning. If you're in Akure, you probably have heard about our brand, either you've been to our place or you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, or you're just somebody that is interested in data science, or you're interested in anything data, and you stumble on us on wherever, say Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, or maybe LinkedIn, or anywhere else at all, WhatsApp, right? So we do data science and analytics training, and beyond that, we don't just train, we help people get started with their career, either by pairing them with companies for internship, or by allowing them intern with us, or even help them, get job opportunities. So you can learn from us in 3 ways. You can take self-paced courses on our learning platform, zakraklearning.com. So on that platform, you can buy a course. It's a one-time purchase. You have access to that course for life. You've bought it, it's yours. You can go and learn. You can go and play that course as many times as you want, right? You can go back to that course 3 months later. And of course, you can learn from any device. All of those courses comes with quizzes and exercises that you're going to validate whatever you think you've learned, say in the previous video. So you're going to be taking quizzes, you're going to be having exercises. And at the end of every course you take on that platform, you get a certificate that you can add to your CV. You can have it in soft copy. You will definitely have it in soft copy, but you can print it. It's as valid as either the soft or the hard copy. And you can even opt for a physical class. So a physical class is for you that you are resident in Akure, you prefer one-on-one, see me and see you, right? Of course, the project, the training is hands-on, it's project-based. You'll be having exercises, you'll be having projects, you're going to have a certificate at the end of that training. And the good thing about this is that after your training, you have the option to do a 6 weeks post-training internship with us. You're not paying for that. We've trained you, probably your training is for 8 weeks. Ordinarily, it should end there, right? So, but sometimes we understand that some people want to go beyond training. They want to be able to practice what they've learned. So we give you that opportunity to have a 6 weeks post-training internship with us. And we also have an incubator program that is a career-focused program that lasts for 10 months. The thing about the program is that we train you for 7 months. Then we connect you with a company for 3 months internship. And at the end of that program, you get a nano degree. And you can join this program from anywhere in the world. There are online live classes. You have access to self-paced courses. You have access to your instructors, to other people on the program live. And you also have access to some self-paced courses, recorded courses. And of course, if you work with an organization or you run a company, you can subscribe for your employees to take courses on our platform. It's going to have a huge effect on your performance as a company. It's going to have a huge effect on your retention. A lot of people are looking for companies to work with where they won't just make money, right? But they will also get some kind of value, personal development and skill. And if that doesn't sound like you, you can also take talent from us. Some of the people we train, we could connect your company. Your company need a data scientist or need a data analyst or need somebody to help with A or B. You can come to us, we post an intern to your organization that works with you for 3 months. Or if you just need it on maybe on a project by project basis, you want to just look at the end of the month, what is your sales and everything like, we can give you somebody that we train, somebody vetted, somebody who can vouch for our product, our candidates, that will come into your organization and work with you for that defined period of time, after which you can either decide to retain that person as a staff or, of course, move forward from there. So why did we really make this webinar an Akure edition? The webinar is a lead up to a physical training that is coming up in Akure. And there are 2 courses that were starting by February. There's data analysis with Microsoft Excel, and there's data science and machine learning with Python. Python is undoubtedly one of the biggest and most popular data science or data analysis tool. So it's a good place to start, whether you want to do data science, you want to do data engineering. Python is a good place to start. Then Excel, unlike Python, does not involve programming. Of course, at the advanced end of Excel, you can do some programming. So, but Excel is the mother of all data analysis or data science tool. Whether it's Python, whether it's whatever, Excel is very, very deep. And Excel can do more than anybody, including me. I've seen people use Excel and I will be like, the same Excel, right? So there's an Excel class starting and there is a Python class. Now for convenience, we've made it a weekend class. So it's just Friday and Saturday, starting by 4th of February, which is a Friday. So if you're doing Excel, Excel is from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Fridays and Saturday. Python is 10 o'clock to 12 noon. And you can register on this link, which is going to, let me just put the link on the chat box. Could you please put the link on the chat box? Then after any of this program, you can opt to do a 6 weeks free internship with us. We've trained you. Your payment supposedly ends at that point that will issue your certificate to you. But just as an add-on, we want you to be able to have something on your CV beyond certificate that you've learned, but a certificate that shows that, okay, you intern in so place for so duration or so number of weeks or months. So everybody that enrolls for any of these 2 classes, right, they have the option. It's not compulsory, it's optional. It's just our way of helping you get started with your journey in the data profession. So you can opt to stay back for 6 weeks. For that 6 weeks, we're going to be engaging you, giving you real life projects to work on, and you can pick your career from there. And of course, if you're not in Akure, for instance, or you prefer to learn online, you can go on our platform, zacracklearning.com. There are several courses there. There are courses on Power BI, there are courses on Excel, there are courses on SQL, on R, on Python. We are even adding like other courses, theoretical courses, technical courses, right, to the course catalog. So you can go there and buy courses. And the good thing is that we're currently doing a sale where all the courses on the platform, some of them are as high as $100, some of them, $45. So, but everything is going for $9.9 per course. So if cost is something that you're really thinking about and you want to do online learning, I would suggest that you go on zacracklearning.com between now and Tuesday morning, and you can buy any course on that platform for $9.99 instead of $100. So this is going to be the end of my own part of the webinar. I would like to get feedbacks. I would like to have questions from everybody, and before we call it a day. So the floor is open to everybody. If you have a question,
Hello?
you can either, hi, I can hear you.
Yeah, please, I want to ask if the video is made available because calls were just coming on my phone, so I couldn't follow.
Yes, the video is going to be made available. Yes, we're going to send the video.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you have questions, you can put it on the
Good
chat
evening.
box. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
I want to ask about the cost of the program. I want to ask about the cost of the programs you just mentioned.
Is it the physical or the online?
The physical.
Okay, the physical, it will be pasted on the group, on the chat box.
Okay.
Okay, more questions, clarifications. Is there internship opportunity for the online classes? Okay, yes, currently at the moment, we don't have internship opportunity for online classes. Now, there are two types of ways you can learn online. You can buy a course and learn at your own pace, right? That is an online course, or you can subscribe for the incubator program. The incubator program comes automatically with 3 months internship. We're going to find you a company and pair you with that company, and you will intern with them. That is incubator. It's an online class too. So, but I'm assuming that you are talking about the self-paced, where you buy a course and you learn by yourself. If I'm correct, please say hi on the group, and if I'm not, please correct me. Okay. So for self-paced, you don't get, yes, okay, for self-paced, you don't get internship. And the reason is because anybody from anywhere in the world can take it, and we can't provide internship, say, to somebody in Lagos or so. So, but if you enroll for a self-paced course, and you're confident that after you've taken that course, you've really learned what the course is about, you can write us an email and we'll see what is possible. So, but that plan does not come with internship. Yes, there's room for instrumental payments. Yeah, so just register, fill in your details, then we're going to get in touch with you. Again, I'm assuming you are asking about the physical training. Okay, please, while asking your question, try to be specific so that I will give you specific answers.
Yes, so, for physical training.
Yes. So there's room for instrumental payment. So just go to the registration page, fill in your details, and we'll get back to you. Okay, the cost for the self-paced and incubator program. Now, for the self-paced courses, the price varies from $39, $49, some are $100, some are more, right? Same way you have it on other platforms. So, but we're currently having a flash sale where you can just buy any course on the platform for $9. Instead of $39, instead of $100, instead of $50, you just pay $9 for that course and it's yours. So, but from Tuesday, we'll go back to the normal price. Then for the incubator program, the price is $995, $995. It's a 7 months training. And after the 7 months, we are going to connect you with the company for internship, and the company is likely to retain you after your internship. So it's for people that want to actively. Yes. So it seems to be a little bit on the high side. Yes, go on, please. I can hear you. Okay. So if you take an incubator program, we're going to train you for 7 months. After your 7 months, we're going to pair you with a company where you do your internship with them for 3 months. And depending on what the company needs, depending on their budget, they can decide to retain you after your internship with them. So the self-paced is from $49 to $100, but we are discounting all the courses to $9.9 per course. But that ends on Tuesday. The incubator course is $995, 7 months training, 3 months internship, and you earn a nano degree. And the DY is asking if you need to learn all the tools, Python, Excel, SQL, to be fully equipped, or you can function well with the knowledge of one. Okay, like any other discipline, look at graphic design, for instance. You can be a good graphic designer with CorelDRAW. Another person can be a good graphic designer with Photoshop. And you can be a good graphic designer with both of them. So, but the concept of graphic design is the same thing. So you don't need to learn all of the tools, right? So, but we always recommend that regardless of anything, try to learn Excel. You can then choose between Python or R. SQL is used for something different. Again, it's used for database administration. Power BI and Tableau, they are usually used by business intelligence professionals and co. So, but you can reach out to us on social media, on live chat on zacracklearning.com. Then we can give you like specific recommendation on courses to take. Okay, Afolabi is saying the amount is not necessarily a problem, but the probability of earning instantly after the training. Yes. Now, the probability of earning instantly after the training, we can't guarantee that instant. And also understand that it is subject to different things. How well do you learn? How many projects do you do during your training, right? How good are you? How are you putting yourself out there? How are you selling yourself? So if you enroll for an incubator training and say a physical class, these are some of the things you're going to get. Where are you like looking for these opportunities? For instance, what does your CV look like? Do you have a GitHub repo? Do you have a portfolio? So all of these things matter. There is really no company that can guarantee that you finish today, by next week you get a job. So, but if you follow our processes, our career service, and we are confident that you're going to get a job. Now, with the data science training, cover Bash and Conda. Now, Bash and Conda is like more advanced, so we have incubator programs for that. So you can check zacracklearning.com. Then you can see a course on that. So by the end of the day, the Bash, the Conda, the Python, and Co, all of these things are tools. They are not data science. That Python does not mean you're a data analyst or a data scientist. It's just a tool, right? Knowing AutoCAD does not make you an architect. So it's still very important to understand data science before we now begin to talk about whether it's Python or whether it's R or whether it's any other thing at all. So yes, Bash is a little bit more advanced, but we have an incubator program that covers it. If you have more questions, please drop it on the group. Can you pay instrumentally? Yes, you can. What of the cost for online? I've answered that. Any other question that you'd like me to answer? Okay, so should I assume we are good to go? If we are good to go, just say something on the group. If you have a question, you can drop it on the group, but if there's no other question, then all right, good to go. So thank you everyone for coming for this webinar. I really hope it's worth your time and you had good time. You had good value for your time. So for everybody on this webinar, I would like you to go on Twitter, go on Instagram, follow at zachraclearning.com, like and comment about our post there. If you have any inquiry, you can send us a DM, reply as fast as possible. You can go on zachraclearning.com and buy a self-paced course or register for an incubator course. And if you prefer a physical training, just go on the registration link. Somebody's going to drop the link again. So click on that a link if you prefer a physical training, read up about it, and select the one you want. So the zachraclearning.com is for online learning. The www.zachraclearning.com is for online learning. You want to buy a course or you want to register for an incubator program, you go to zachraclearning.com. You can pay with your card, you can pay with transfer, you can pay with USSD. So there are a lot of payment options just to make it comfortable and convenient for you. If you want to do a physical training, click on zachrach.com/physical training. Now, this is just for people in Akure or for people that have a place. You can come from Ekiti or anywhere for this physical training. And after that training, you have the option to stay another 6 weeks and have a 6 weeks post-training internship with us. I'm really excited, talking about data, talking to people that are interested about data science, data analytics, people that actively want to either transition or start a career. And we're going to reach out to you with the recording of this webinar. And when next we're having a webinar, we're going to send you an email. So it's likely to be a monthly thing.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for the mind-dilating explanation you've been given so far. Actually, my interest is more of bioinformatics. I was the one who asked question about Bash and Conda and the like.
Okay.
So I'm a green on in data science, in tech, or anything. I actually don't know anything about that. But then my master's is in medical microbiology. So I'll be doing more of bioinformatics, dealing with data. And I know that, okay, fine, in the due process of doing my master's, I will be working with more of all this Bash, because if we want to do sequencing, we do more of the R from the things I've read, the theoretical aspect. So you've been talking about the data science and the kind of training that you give in your organization. So that was why I actually asked that question. Okay, fine. If I enroll for this package that you are doing, will I be able to have an adequate knowledge, about these tools that like you said earlier, in the process of learning the data science, will I be able to have an idea of, how to use those tools? So like you said.
Yes. Now, if there are different ways to go about this, if for instance you want to, and okay, let me start from here. For bioinformatics or for any sector at all, of course, you'll be working with data. So, but at the end of the day, there are several tools, there are varieties of tools that can do the same thing. If they are using Bash today, for instance, I'm pretty sure maybe they are moving to Python like very soon. So if you enroll for a course on our platform, say a physical training, we don't have a physical training for Bash specifically, right? So, but we have a physical training for Python. Everything you can do with Bash, you can do much more with Python. So, but if you specifically want that Bash, we can create an online course and record and put it on the platform. So customers like yourself and other people that specifically want to learn Bash can go and buy that course. If you want to learn R or any other tool, that is just what the self-paced is all about. So we'll create different courses on different tools. And for people that know specifics of what they should learn, like the tool they should learn or what they will be using, either in their research or companies, then they can just go and buy it. So for instance, if you want to work with, say, Microsoft and they use Tableau, we have a course on Tableau. You go there to buy Tableau. What Tableau is doing, Power BI can do it, Excel can do it, right? So we don't have a physical class for Bash, and we don't have an online course for Bash, but we're taking this as a feedback, and we're going to look at the possibility of creating a course on Bash. So, but I would recommend that you join a Python class, because if they are not already using Python, they are definitely going to be using Python. Everything you want to do with Bash, sequencing, everything you want to do, you do it with Python. And Python is more used, is more popular than, at least for now, is the most popular tool for data science and analytics. Yes, and you're going to learn all the fundamentals, what all those tests means, those statistical analysis, when to use them, and which test is appropriate for which, how to design experiment and co. So yes, I hope that answers the question, but if not, we can have like a further conversation after the call. So you said classes on Fridays, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., but please, you are not considering that we have children to pick from school. Oh, we are so sorry. We are considering that you have children to pick from school. Can you shift the Friday classes to 2 p.m. for us to settle down with our kids at home? And yes, please, just register for the course. Let's have your details, right? So, but at the end of the day, we have to put a time, a start time and a end time. Different customer, if you have 10 people that wants to take this course, this person will tell you that 1 to 3 is perfect. Somebody will tell you it's 12 to 2. Somebody will tell you it's 3 to 5. And that person will want 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So, but just for uniformity's sake, we have to put that time. So, but please enroll for the course. We've taken your suggestion. When you enroll, we'll have your detail. Then we're going to give you a call. And with every other person that has enrolled, say for instance, the Excel class, then we can modify the time. Any time between working hour is actually good for us. So, but putting 1 to 3 is more about the customer than about us. So yes, we take it as a suggestion, and please say hi to your children that we are greeting them from Zakrak. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Do we have more questions, clarifications? All right, Oluwatoyin, we look forward to reading your application. More questions. All right, so we have to call it a day. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for, taking an hour plus using your data. And I hope we've been able to deliver value that is commensurate or even more than the sacrifice. So I look forward to reading your applications. I look forward to seeing people enroll for online courses, buy a course, register for incubator program, or enroll for a physical training. Please don't forget to follow us on social media, like our post. If you have further inquiry, please send a DM. We're going to respond. If you go on zakraklearning.com, there's live chat there. So if you still have inquiry, please put it there. We are going to respond as quickly as possible. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming once again. And this is going to be all for today. See you during the next webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.